Hello, welcome back to my channel. As you can probably tell by the title of this video, today I'm going to be doing my July wrap-up. If you have been around a while, it might be surprising to you that I'm back in my car doing a monthly wrap-up, but I think this is something that I want to kind of bring back to my channel and do more frequently. Quarterly wrap-ups have been fun, but I went to film my Q2 2021 wrap-up recently, and I realized I forget so much about the books or how I felt about the books in a 3-month period, so I kind of need to go back to just like a monthly format, and it's just fun to come and sit in my car every month and just talk to y'all about the books that I have read but not talked to you about. So in this video, I'm going to talk about 8 books that I read in the month of July that are not going to be featured in any upcoming vlogs or anything. These are just books that I read because I wanted to read them. So that's what I'm going to be talking to you guys about today. So I guess without further ado, let's get into it. I don't have a ton of notes on any of these. I'm just going to kind of talk to y'all. We can hang out, we can chill, very much like all of the other wrap-ups I've ever done. So the first book that I finished was The Diviners by Libba Bray. I read a little bit of this for the Summer Ween readathon, and I loved that readathon. It was so fun. I had to cut it short because some stuff came up, but had a good time while it lasted. This book I didn't love though. I was looking forward to it because I read it in high school. I think I gave it 2 stars and it just wasn't really for me, but I had this feeling that it was going to be a book that I was going to enjoy more the second time around, especially given how much my friends have enjoyed it, but unfortunately that just wasn't really the case. I did bump it a star. I gave it 3 stars this time around. Anyway, the story is about Evie O'Neill, who is sent to live with her uncle in New York after she kind of messes up back in Ohio. Now, Evie's not too upset about this because she is a roaring 20s badass and wants to explore the city, go to these speakeasies, and have a good time. But quickly she finds out that there are some kind of murders afoot, and they have kind of a paranormal element to them. And since her uncle has this museum that is paranormal, and since he teaches about paranormal and occult kind of things, she ends up helping him and helping the police in solving these murders. And she ends up meeting people along the way, and we meet people along the way. I liked the idea of it. I liked the concept. I just feel like this book was overly long and a little bit lacking in the character flavor department. Evie was really irritating, which sucks because I felt like the other side characters were so interesting and I would have preferred to have more of their points of view. We do get other characters' points of view as the story carries on, but the majority of the book was about Evie, and I just didn't like Evie. She was irritating. I'm sure she'll grow as the story goes on, but I think it was weird reading about her specifically because The Diviners in general felt like a very, very sophisticated YA book, and to have a main character who feels very young YA in that setting, it just didn't feel right. All of the other characters felt very mature, and while they were making mistakes and things, I just feel like Evie was just completely apart from them in terms of how immature she was. So I don't know, it just wasn't really for me. I appreciated the commentary more this time around. I think that Libba Bray does a fantastic job at kind of addressing the racism and other issues of the 1920s, which is great. And again, I do appreciate that more the second time around, but beyond that, I just wanted more from the story. I did appreciate the murder mystery aspects. I do feel like it was gory and gruesome, but again, I just wanted more from the characters, and I wanted to care more about the characters because that's what I care about in a story. So I probably won't continue on with the series. In fact, I stacked all 3 of the books that I own in the series up, and I think I'm gonna unhaul them. So that's that on that. The next book that I read was actually not a book, it was a novella, and it is Should Have Been by Alexandria House. Now I feel kind of bad picking this one to be the first one that I talked to you guys about from Alexandria House because I have read 2 of her other novellas prior to July and enjoyed both of those immensely, gave them 4 or 5 stars each. These next 2 that I'm going to talk about are both Alexandria House novellas that I didn't love. Should Have Been is about Truth and Claudette, and this is kind of a second chance romance story with a lot of flashbacks. I just didn't love their romance. I didn't feel like it was appropriate for a novella. There's a lot of cheating elements in the story too, so if that's something that you don't really enjoy, maybe this book won't be for you either. But I just felt like this was one of the weaker romances that I've read by Alexandria House. I feel like she writes really fantastic smut, but I just didn't really connect with the characters, and ultimately I felt like the ending of this book was a lot. And if you've read it, you know what I'm talking about, but it just wasn't my favorite. It wasn't terrible. I think I gave it 3 stars. Actually, I think I gave this one 2 stars, which is the lowest I've rated any of her stuff, but it was just okay for me. The next one that I read by her was Shoe, and this is the 3rd book in a series. I liked the other 2 better. Shoe was okay. This story is about Shoe and Denver. If you've read any of the novellas or you've heard about them, Denver is the CNA for Shoe's father, and we learned about Shoe and his family in, the first novellas, and we kind of get more context in this 3rd one. I should say they're standalone novellas, but they are all interconnected. Anyway, I wanted to like this, but again, I felt like this would have been much better formatted in a novel sense. Denver has a lot of trauma in her past. a lot of darkness in her past, and so does Shu, really. And I like that they connected on that level, but I just didn't feel like we dove deep enough into the emotions behind that and how it impacted their relationship. It felt like they told each other things very quickly, they got together very quickly, and I don't know, it just didn't really mesh well with me. I just didn't love it, and I felt like the resolution to the story was a little bit far-fetched as well. That's something that kind of happens, I feel like, in some of Alexandria House's novellas. Sometimes it works for me, sometimes it doesn't. This one, it just kind of didn't really work for me. I wouldn't hesitate to pick up more stuff from her in the future, just because I really liked the first 2 books in this series. Set, I think, was the first novella, and I can't remember the name of the other one, but I've had a really good time with her stories, and I have read some from her, some from Christina C. Jones. I've been on sort of a novella kick lately. I've honestly just been on like a romance kick in general, but specifically I've been more into romance novellas, which I feel like is kind of out of character for me because I tend to not pick up short things because I'm like, oh, this won't satisfy my craving, but I found some really good novellas that have proved me wrong. Sadly, these 2 I don't think worked well in this format, but again, I think novellas are working more for me, and I do think if you're looking for a really good smutty novella, I would pick up Set by Alexandria House, because like it was fantastic. So moving right along, next book that I read was Back in the Burbs. This is a book that I was sent, and it wasn't really on my radar until I saw Olivia from Olivia Reads a Latte talking about it, and she seemed to really enjoy this book, so I decided I was going to pick it up and see what it was all about. I feel like I picked it up right at the perfect time too. I was really looking for something not sugary, but something very like lighthearted and easy. This book was not that, but I feel like it satisfied what I was looking for. So it is about our main character, Mallory, who is going through a really nasty divorce. Her husband is like scum of the earth, and she inherits this house during this nasty divorce she's going through from her aunt, and she has to fix up this house to ensure that it is up to HOA standards, because her aunt violated a lot of those rules that were in place, and now she is responsible for kind of taking charge. And in the process, she ends up meeting her next door neighbor, Nick, who is very like pro HOA, very, you know, by the books. It's about their romance, and it's about Mallory figuring out what she wants out of life. And honestly, I really enjoyed this. It was, I would say, more in the vein of something like Meet Cute by Helena Hunting or Beach Read by Emily Henry. Like, there's definitely heart to it and a lot of, I don't want to say negativity, but there are sad emotions definitely involved in this story. So if you're not looking for that, maybe don't pick this up. But I was able to kind of overlook that because I felt like there was like a funniness to this, and I don't say interestingness to this. It was interesting enough to keep me involved, even though I wasn't super excited about the prospect of reading something depressing, if that makes sense. I liked this. I would actually recommend this if you're looking for something chill, you're looking for something kind of fun, and the idea of like a fixer-upper kind of romance works for you. I think this would be good. It definitely deals with mental health too, which I thought was nice. So the next book that I read, again in the same vein, I guess in July I was just going through this sort of like, I just want to read lighthearted stuff kind of vibe, and this one actually was very lighthearted. Book Boyfriend by Claire Kingsley. I'm pretty sure I picked this one up specifically because I believe, don't quote me on this, Claire's husband recently passed away. A lot of people were looking to support her by reading her books this month, and so I decided to do that myself. This particular story is about Mia and Alex, and Mia is a book blogger. She writes about romances, writes reviews about romances essentially, and Alex is a romance writer, but he's trying to keep this under wraps because he goes by a female pen name, and he is actually friends with Mia online, and then they meet in person, not knowing who the other is. Alex figures out who Mia is quickly and just keeps his identity from her. So the story is kind of like, I know some people are not into that, which is kind of why I wanted to let you know what you're getting into going into the story, but I personally really enjoyed it, and I felt like it was really fun. Was this like a groundbreaking romance? No, I give it, I think, 3 stars, but I felt like if you're looking for something kind of insta-love and quick, it could be fun. So Mia and Alex fall for each other super quick. He is such a good boyfriend. They call him book boyfriend because he feels like a book boyfriend. He is like, just, I don't know, he's perfect. If you ever want to read just a silly romance that doesn't really feel realistic in any way, but you want to kind of restore your faith in men, maybe, I don't know, read this story. Like, it was just a good time getting to see these 2 characters fall for each other. I liked the ending too. I thought it was like sappy and sweet, so if you're looking for something very quick, because I think this book is only like 180 pages, give it a go. Next book that I read, honestly, there's so many books on here that are just like 3-star reads for me. I do have 1 5-star, so it's not all just like mediocre 3-star reads, but this one is. Okay, so Love Her or Lose Her by Tessa Bailey. Don't know why I decided to pick this one up. I'd heard bad things about it, that it was like the outlier in the series, it just wasn't that good, but I was just, again, I was on a kick, and I was like, you know what, Tessa Bailey is not gonna let me down in the smut department, and also in the fun, sweet department. so I decided to pick this up. It's about Rosie and Dominic, who have been married for a while, and Dominic goes and serves overseas in the military, comes back, and he definitely is unable to share his emotions and his feelings with Rosie. I think my issue with the story was the fact that you have a married couple, which on paper always sounds so interesting to me. I'm always so on board with these stories because I'm like, I'm in a long-term relationship. I would love to see kind of a messy one resolve itself and be sweet. Like, it just sounds great. But I feel like the execution is really challenging because you have to invest people into these stories, right? You want people to be invested in the backstory. And if you're not going to give me like tons of flashbacks, how am I going to become invested? And that was the issue in this book. We do get some hints of, you know, what they were like in high school and what their relationship used to be like, but it was more just like offhand comments. So I never fully felt like, oh my God, like I'm so rooting for you guys and I love your romance. It was just kind of whatever. And on top of that, Dominic was like super alpha male, which I think some people will be into, some people will not be. Obviously, I think if you don't like Tessa Bailey's heroes, this one is going to be even less likely to be a hero for you because he is very much, I take care of my woman, I make sure everything's, you know, good at home kind of guy. And I know that doesn't work for everybody, so I get that. I don't know. I didn't connect with it. Overall, I just don't feel like this was Tessa Bailey's strongest book. The smut was there though. I mean, it kind of always is with Tessa Bailey, but that's kind of how I felt about this one. Glad that I read it in hindsight, just because like now I've read all 3 books in the series. I know what I like from Tessa Bailey. I know what I don't like, but frankly, I'm just excited for the second book in the It Happened One Summer series. So I'll be holding out hope for that. Maybe I'll get an arc. Maybe I'll read it. We'll see. I don't know why I'm talking about this. Wow. It's just been so long since I've like been in front of a camera and just talked to y'all. So hopefully you don't mind the random ramblings. The one 5-star read that I read in July, actually there's probably other ones that I read that were 5-star, but like for this particular purpose. The only 5-star read that I have to talk to you about is Act Your Age, Eve Brown by Talia Hibbert. Oh my God. I just don't think it's fair that every book that Talia Hibbert puts out is better than her last. Like how does this happen? I think it's a true testament to her writing craft and her commitment to writing romance. Like you can tell that she lives romance. And I know a lot of romance authors feel the same way, but you could just really feel it with Talia's writing. Oh my God, amazing, amazing, amazing. So this particular book is about Eve, who is the youngest sister of Danny and Chloe, and she is someone who, I don't want to say is unmotivated, but she's been told her whole life that she is like not really that great at things, not in like a she's terrible sort of way. She's been told that she's kind of flaky, right? And that she needs to kind of buckle down, and she's always been kind of the flighty one compared to her sisters, and I think that's really affected her and her ability to kind of stick to things. So her parents are mad because after one of her failed career ventures, she kind of just gives up, and they're sick of her giving up. They say, you need to find a job, otherwise we're cutting you off. So she ends up kind of getting into the situation where she is cooking at a bed and breakfast, and she is working with a really perfect man named Jacob. And Jacob is on the autism spectrum, and he is very grumpy, and just watching Eve and Jacob interact was a true delight. It was just so good. I love the grumpy sunshine thing that Talia tends to do in this series. Like, that's definitely something that kind of happens, I feel like, in all of the books, but especially in this one. Jacob is fantastic, and I loved the way that he felt about Eve. Hearing his internal dialogue, there's this particular scene, I can't even get into it because it's a little raunchy, but I was just so impressed with him, like in every possible regard. I want one for myself. Like, I wanted Jacob for myself. I'm just thinking about all of the scenes in this book that I loved. Like, you have to pick it up if you haven't picked it up already. I was putting it off for a while because I had an audiobook copy of it, but I knew that for me, reading it physically would be the better reading experience. So I was like, I don't know if I can commit to that. If you didn't know, I don't really read physically as much anymore as I used to, but whenever I decided to do it, I literally finished it in a day, and Hayden was like, why are you laughing? Like, please stop laughing. Because I was just reading it in bed and just like, I'm so enamored with it. It was so good. Pick it up. 5 stars. 10 out of 10. Honestly, could it be a 6 out of 5? Because so good. Okay, moving right along. A book that I picked up on a whim, and I don't want to say that I regret it, but I'm also like, this is sort of a waste of time. Okay, but I'm glad that I picked it up given the hype surrounding this book, or the fact that so many other people have been reading it lately. Anyway, The Initiation by Nikki Sloan. This I gave, I think, 2 stars to. I didn't enjoy it. Maybe it was 3 stars? This is what I imagine the selection by Kira Cass would be like if it were an adult book. Now, have I read the selection? No, but just given what I know about the book, it feels like that to me. So the story is about our heroine, Marist, who is a part of this family. She has an older sister, I think named Emily or something. I don't really know. But her family is indebted to the company that her dad works for. He's gotten himself into some bad financial straits, and the owner of the company is like, you know what? Let's marry off your daughter to my son and I'll forgive your debts. Because, I mean, that's how every, you know, mafia, dark, romance, whatever starts. I was invested. I was like, okay, I'm willing to overlook the stereotypical setup and whatever. But Maris was so annoying that it was kind of hard to overlook. Royce, who is the son of the rich people, Royce and Maris, they're supposed to be married. Technically, Royce was supposed to marry her older sister, so this is kind of a surprise to her, and she's like, oh my god, I don't know about this man. But she decides that she's gonna get hitched to save her family. She has to go through an initiation process to be able to actually marry this man. I don't want to spoil what the initiation is, but I feel like you could guess. I guessed very early on what it was, and it wasn't even impressive. Like, I was expecting something raunchy and hot and just gonna completely blow my mind. All of the reviews from my friends led me to believe it would be that, and it just wasn't. I don't know if I just like wasn't listening closely enough or what, but I just didn't feel like it was that great. The only thing that I really wanted from this book didn't happen, although I know it's going to happen in the next books, just the cliffhanger ending that we got, but I don't know, I just don't care. Royce is bleh, Maris, bleh. The insta-love that they had between each other, I just wasn't really buying. I think it would have been cooler if they didn't actually like each other. It was like an enemies to lovers situation. I think they were trying to set it up like that, but it like clearly wasn't. I'm rambling at this point, but I didn't enjoy it. Don't know if I'll continue on, although I do want to see some things unfold that were alluded to at the end of this book. Again, I don't want to spoil it, but you know, if you know, you know. Those are all of the books that I read in July. Not all of the books. I read a lot more books than this, but these are the books that I have not talked to you about and that I did not vlog. I hope to be doing this in the future. I think you will notice going forward some changes to my channel. I'm gonna maybe film like a channel update at some point, but essentially I am just trying to kind of streamline things, make sure that I have all my videos lined up to be posted on Sundays, and I also want to just give myself more time to read books not for particular vlogs. I'm finding that that's something that I really enjoy. Surprise, surprise. And I'm sure that I've brought this up in other videos in the past like 3 years that I've been on this channel, but I just like having the opportunity to just like read and then later get to talk to you about books. So having, I think, like a dedicated wrap-up video every month will give me that opportunity to like read stuff and not feel like it's for naught. You know, like reading's fun and stuff, but like I don't want to just like read a ton of books and not talk to you about them. So like a wrap up, I can talk to you about them and not have to vlog. Wow, mind blowing. Okay, I don't know if any of that logic really made sense. I am talking a mile a minute, even though I've not had caffeine. Thanks so much for watching. Love you guys so much. There will be a vlog coming on Sunday, kind of, and it's pretty big and it's pretty fun. And if you were hoping for a vlog today, I am sorry, but you know, it's coming, and I have other vlogs coming. I think I have 3 pre-filmed that are going up each, you know, consecutive Sunday, so there will be content coming from me. I really appreciate your support. Thank you for sticking around. I know I've been gone for a couple weeks, had to get some stuff ironed out, but again, love you so much. Thanks so much for watching, and until next Sunday.